All right, this is Kerry Sullivan with another How to Kick Ass in Sales.com video. And today I have my main man, Rob Rammuny, with me. And Rob is someone that I've worked on several projects with, and he's been in the sales field for a long time, since he was quite young. He got a quite young start to the whole deal, but he's going to tell you all about that. But he's incredible in making funnels. And a lot of people in sales don't know what funnels are, why they're effective, why you need one. And we're going to get into all that here. But with that, I welcome Mr. Rob Rammuny to the video. What's going on, Rob?
What's going on, Sullivan?
How you doing? Well, let's start off with what we call the rapid fire round. And so I'm just going to ask you a few questions here real fast. You just fire off the questions right back at me. All right? All right. What's your favorite color?
Red. You?
What's that?
Red.
Okay, cool. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I would say Focus by Will Smith.
What is your favorite book?
Favorite book? How to Win Friends and Influence People.
All right. And what's the favorite place you've ever visited?
San Juan, Puerto Rico.
All right. And what is your favorite food?
Favorite food? That's a good one. Steak.
Favorite superhero?
Huh?
Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? I would have to say Hugh Jackman.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Right on. Right on. And last but not least, what is your favorite car?
Favorite car? Bentley.
Which one?
Is it the G6? I think Bentley's. What is it?
Convertible, two-seater.
Two-seater. It's a two-seater.
Yeah. Bentley Continental.
That's what it is. The Bentley Continental. I don't know what I was thinking when I said G6. Yes, it's the Bentley Continental.
G6 is a plane. That's a whole other level of car.
I'm thinking of Cardone here, man.
Yeah. I take a G6 over any car any day. So good day.
You'll get to your destination, sir.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on. So, Rob, you and I have known each other for a while. I think we've been working with each other for about 2 years now, maybe longer. And anyway, no, I think it is longer. So anyway, though, I want to ask you and just tell the people here, how is it that you first got into sales?
It's actually a funny story how I got into sales. I used to hate sales, like completely hate it. Like it was like you could not get me on the phone with anybody to save my life. And it happened in 2000, and I think it was 2012. We were building a business all around high ticket sales, and this is when we began developing the methodology. And we had a sales team who were doing all the phone calls, but I would never get on the phone. Like I would handle everything else but doing sales calls. We had a sales team for that. And one day my business partner goes to me, he's like, dude, let's get you on some calls. And I was like, no way in hell I am being on calls. Like, no way in hell. And like he like literally would like, he didn't really do this, but like pin me in the room, handed me the phone, and refused to leave until I got on the phone with people. So my first introduction to sales was me just really having a mentor and a business partner push me to get on the phone. It's the value of sales. Yeah.
And then, okay, so once you got onto the phone, what happened then?
I was scared shitless. Like I was stuttering, I was skipping over my words. But over time, I got better at it and better at it and better at it, and just surrounding myself around really high-level salespeople and people who really know their stuff like you do. I began saying, all right, what are they doing in modeling techniques that the top sales guys and like use.
And okay, and how old were you when that happened?
I was 18.
Oh, you were 18. I thought you were younger than that when you get.
I started my first business at 13. I didn't get on the phone with anybody until 18. It took me 5 years to get over this fear.
Yeah. So Rob got into doing the whole sales thing and making funnels. How old were you when you started doing that?
13. Yeah.
13. All right. So he's been at it for a while. And then you quit school, right, to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, cool. So what was that process? What made you decide, okay, screw school, I'm going full-time into doing my sales thing and starting, well, not your sales thing, I'm going full-time in business by myself?
It was a recipe, actually. It was a recipe of 2 YouTube videos, which I'll tell you in a minute, and a product launch that I was working on with my mentor. So I was working on this product launch with my mentor, and I was balancing school and his product launch. And if you've guys done a product launch, you know it takes a hell of a lot of time. And like, all right, school, product launch could make me a lot of money. School is not really going to make me anything. And so that was part of the recipe. The other part of the recipe is I was listening to 2 videos. The first video was Steve Jobs' commencement speech that he did at Stanford. And he said, if you wake up every day and you're looking in the mirror and you're asking myself if today was, this is not the exact question, like today was your last day, would I do what I'm about to do now? And if you say no for too many times, you got to stop doing it. Well, my answer was no to school. And I was listening to Will Smith. It was like a Will Smith compilation of YouTube videos. And he said, if you have a plan B, it means you don't believe in it. I'm like, well, so school, plan B, out of the window. I made the decision. I dropped out of school.
And looking back on that, was that the right decision?
One of the best decisions in my life.
There you go, right on. Don't let school interfere with your education, right?
No.
Right on, I love it. And so, Rob, how old are you now?
21.
There you go. So young hustlers out there, take a look at that. All right, so you got into sales, you started making sales funnels, and then you got into doing things with phone sales teams, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So how is it that you married the 2 of those things together? Because this is something a lot of sales people miss, right? Companies, just people in sales in general. How is it that you married the 2 together?
Yeah, so marrying the 2 together, it came because if you know the standard sales environment, people are always chasing. You're hearing, "Let me think about it. Let me get back to you. Oh, this is too expensive." And in the traditional sales environment, the boiler room style of sales, it's chase the prospect. You know, you're the hunter. So I was like, okay, how can we switch the roles? I call it role reversal. How can the hunter become the hunted? How can we get people coming to us? How can we get people qualifying themselves to us? So I began just really thinking through and taking everything that I knew about sales and sales funnels and kind of building a funnel which switched the roles. So instead of us selling people, we created a process in which people would sell themselves to us. And that allowed us to sell products at a higher price point than $47, $97, $500, which is what we would typically sell on a product when we're doing product launches.
Yeah, so I don't think we actually talked about what a funnel is because some people might not know what that is. So what is a funnel exactly?
Yeah, so a funnel is pretty much the best way I can describe a funnel is think of the desired action you want your prospect to take, whether it's buy a product, whether it's enter their email to get a free report, whatever it is, whatever the desired action is, all of the steps that your prospect or customer has to take leading up to that action, that's what's considered a funnel. You're taking them through, like if you imagine literally a funnel and you're putting all your prospects in this funnel, you're squeezing them through, and at the very end, they're going to reach, a percentage of them are going to reach the desired action that you want them to take.
Right on. And how'd that work? In terms of setting up a funnel, you're like, okay, let's switch the roles here. Let's have people selling us. How'd that work? Yeah,
so for us, we use a eight-part VSL template, and pretty much it's there's 3 levels to selling or selling high ticket products and services. And I learned this from Frank Kern. Part 1 is show me how, where your customer will pay to you to show them how to get the result that they're looking for, whether it's lose weight, increase their revenue in their business, peak performance, mindset, whatever. There's do it with me and do it for me. Everything we sell falls in the do it with me and do it for me category. So what we do is we'll give a presentation. It's like anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, and literally we're showing our prospects how to achieve the desired result on their own, right? We're showing our prospects how to achieve the desired result on their own. And towards the end of the VSL or the video, after we've presented the content, we pretty much give them two options. Option number one is you can take this information and you can go at it alone and do it by yourself. Option number two is you can work with us and we can do it with you, or we can do it for you. The big mindset shift here is nobody wants to do anything alone, right? Nobody wants to go at it alone. One of our greatest fears is to be alone, is to be by ourselves. So we play on that fear in our actual videos. So what we say is, hey, listen, we're looking to work with a couple of people. If you'd like to be one of them, here's how you can apply to work with us, right? So now we've essentially switched the frame. So instead of us trying to convince someone why they should work with us, they're now convincing us why they should work with them, because they're raising their hand and they're saying, yes, I want help. Instead of us convincing them they want help, they're already saying in their head, yes, I want help, and I want your help. I want you to help me. So once you've gotten your prospect to make that mental shift in their brain, the process of role reversal begins.
And then you get on the phone with them, right?
And then you get on the phone with them, yes.
Okay. So once these people get on the phone with the salesperson, how different is it compared to a regular lead?
Oh, completely different. Night and day difference. Like, I'd say like there's a 500% increase in revenue and sales when you're talking to a prospect who applies to speak with you versus a prospect, meaning you're reaching out to the prospect. So if you're reaching out to the prospect without processes happening, the chances of you calling that prospect decreases by 500%, versus if the prospect raises their hand and asks you to call them, your chances of selling them increases by 500%.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about cold calling then? Do you think that's dead, or do you think that's still alive and well?
I think there are people out there who make a lot of money cold calling, and I believe for the right person, it could totally work. We do no cold calling whatsoever in our business. Everything is inbound, where they're requesting to speak with us.
Right on. And how is it that someone with just like a regular business can implement something like a regular salesperson? Let's talk about a real estate agent or someone in MLM. Although those people tell you that they're not in sales. I'm gonna make a video on that today, actually. So
I love it.
Yeah,
I'll post it on my wall.
Yeah, good. So yeah, how is it that someone in sales can set something like this up? What are the basic steps?
The basic steps, more than the mechanics, is it's completely mindset. So if it's literally, as you're switching the roles, you're also reversing your beliefs. So for example, the common belief amongst many salespeople is I have to chase the lead, right? And then you can switch that by saying they chase me. So instead of saying I'm the hunter, you switch the mindset to become hunted, having the scarcity mindset of I've got to get this deal, I've got to close this deal, and if I don't close it, I'm fucked. Versus there's one of me and 8 billion or however many people in this world there are. Why should you be the person that I work with, right? I have a product that solves your need. I have a product that solves the needs of thousands. You're fortunate and you're lucky that you be the person I choose to allow to have this, right? So it's switching your beliefs, and when you switch your beliefs, you're going to switch the way in which you talk to people. And when you switch the way in which you talk to people, the way in which people respond to you is going to be completely different. Up until now, I actually credit you for this, Kerry, is I've never really had a way to describe this, but you put me onto neuroscience and neuroscience marketing and neuromarketing, and I was finally able to decode all the psychological factors that made this work. So much kudos for texting me that book that you texted me.
No worries. Rob and I are always coming up with all kinds of things because he and I are actually working together on one project right now. So I was looking at things that way. So what do you think the future of sales is?
The future of sales. So if you look at the most standard business model for sales, specifically phone sales, you have a two-part process. You have what's called the opener, which is one person who will do the opening call, who'll usually do outbound calls and qualify the lead. Then you have the closer. So if the lead is qualified and interested, they get transferred over to the closer. The future of sales, I believe, is where there are no more two-part calls, things in one call close. Everything is done on the phone with one person. The opener is pretty much going to be eliminated and replaced with a very specific process of getting only qualified people on the phone with you.
Right on. And what do you think are the biggest mistakes that you see people in sales making now?
The biggest mistake that I see people make in sales, I'd say one, they're trying to qualify themselves to the prospect, right? They're allowing the prospect to lead the conversation and to control the conversation. So there is, I think it was in Brian Shee's book, which he said, the person who asks the questions is the one who's in control of the conversation. So if you ever go through the process, I mean, you do this all the time, you're always asking questions designed to get someone to buy, right? You should be the person asking all the questions versus the prospect asking you questions and taking control of the conversation. I remember that was actually admittedly one of my biggest faults when I first started. Is I'd get on the phone with somebody, I'd ask them a question, and they'd flip the entire script and ask me a question, and they start asking me more questions and more questions and more questions, and I would answer their questions. They'd take control of the conversation. I'd lose the sale. So now it's always you're asking questions, you're in control. Another big mistake is here's a really big mistake: stating the price and how confidently you state the price. We sell things that'll range anywhere from $1,000, and I mean we'll do contracts that are upwards to $1 million. And when you're stating the price, you have to speak, and I learned this from Dan. You state the price with absolute confidence. How much is it? It's $200,000. That's it. Some people will say, the prospect will say, how much is it? And then the salesperson will go, it's $2,000, and I know that sounds like a lot of money, but here's where we're charging it like this, and yada 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 yada. No, it's $200,000. Are you paying card or cash? I mean, check or wire. How do you want to do it? So stating the price. And I'd say the third biggest mistake is allowing your presupposed negative beliefs and passing them on to the prospect. We all have limiting beliefs and we all have mental blocks. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is not to pass those mental blocks and limiting beliefs onto your prospect, right? So for example, if you have a limiting belief around money and you believe this a lot, right? Don't allow that limiting belief to be passed on to your prospects. You're stating the price of $200,000. Even if you think it's a lot of money, just say it's $200,000 and act like it's nothing. Because if you pass on your fears and your limiting beliefs on to your prospect, they're going to adapt those beliefs. And if you just say it calm, cool, and confident, then I'm like, all right, it's not a lot of money. So I'd say those are the
right on. All right, let's say you can set up your dream selling system. All right. What does that look like?
My dream selling system. My dream selling system would be I have a educational video which outline, or I'm teaching this show me how for free. It leads into the, you can do it with me or I'll do it for you. I list the qualifications of people I'm looking to work with, and I'm only getting my qualified people on the phone. I'm getting the phone. Everybody I get on the phone with, they're buying, or at least 80-90% of the people I'm talking to are buying. And the biggest one, we were actually talking about this earlier today, Kerry, is consistent lead flow, having consistent traffic, consistently bringing high quality people through the sales process.
Yeah, and that's a big one. If you're a business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, that should be the first thing running through your head every single day. How are you going to consistently bring more sales into your business?
Yes.
It's something that a lot of CEOs will try to outsource that out or get someone else in there, and you can't do that. You gotta have your finger on that pulse all the freaking time, and you got to know the process of those leads, how they're coming through there, and what's going to happen, and how they're going in there, and you got to drive it every single day. So, other question that I have for you: let's say all of a sudden you're homeless, you're on the street. What are you going to do?
I'm homeless. I'm on the street.
From ground zero.
I'm starting from ground zero. I'll even act as if I don't even have a computer. I will go to the local library, or I'll find some free computer. I'll open up Microsoft PowerPoint or Google PowerPoint Creator or whatever. I will spill my best information on I'll record it with whatever technology I have available. If I have to borrow an iPhone or use the computer if they have it, whether it's a $20 whatever this is iPhone mic, or if I'm just using the computer audio, I will record that video. I will slap it on a web page. If I have no money at all, I'll find a free service and I'll put it on there. And I will get people to go through my sales process. And if I don't even have my own phone, I'll use a payphone, or I'll use like Google Voice or something that's free to get on the phone and close people. That's what I would do.
I don't even think they have payphones anymore.
I don't know.
Isn't that crazy?
Anymore, yeah. Man, technology's like removed it.
Yeah, totally. Super interesting. Very cool. And where do you see the future? Where else do you see the future of sales going?
The future of sales, wow, that's a good question. Definitely towards the phone. I think I definitely believe that we're moving more back towards a person-to-person, or the human interaction, because we've become so separated with technology that the people who capitalize on that human touch are going to make a lot more money, So I definitely see it going back to phones, more face interactions like we're doing on Google Hangouts, or video closing, more on the person based versus just the traditional just take them through a sales video and expect them to buy. Like that's beginning to phase out, especially if you're selling higher price products or services.
Yeah. And so in terms of, you get your internet people out there who they don't want to talk to people. They set up whole funnels. They let that do all the selling for them, versus someone getting face to face or phone to phone, or on the phone. What is the most effective way to close someone, do you think?
Definitely over the phone.
Yeah. So this is something a lot of people don't understand, because Rob and I have had this conversation, right? So you get kind of two schools of thoughts in sales right now, and they're both fighting it out. I saw this happen on Blab the other day, and people get pissed off and fighting about it. You got your one school who's your hardcore salespeople, and they're just like, close everybody. You go hard at them. You always ask for the sale. You get on the phone with them. You do the cold calling. Where the other people are like, no, you just do it all online. It's not about selling, right? It's not about selling. You don't sell. You're just giving them information or whatever. It's about building a relationship. And it's both those things. Mm-hmm. It's both those things. So you've kind of talked about that. So just tell me your take on all that, because that's like the biggest rift I see out there.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, and I have to be very vague in the details.
Yeah.
However, here's something to drive home our point, and that's I was actually talking to a client who made a $250,000 mistake. And the mistake was our philosophy when it comes to selling high ticket or selling products and services, just get somebody on the phone, right? So I will give you a side example. The first example is where me and my team were brought in. We built a sales funnel. Literally, the actual cost of production to build the funnel was maybe less than $500. Probably not even that. Actual manual labor costs and so on and so forth. You know, we wrote the VSL in PowerPoint. It wasn't fancy. Nothing was fancy about it at all. And that funnel ended up producing about $30,000 per month for a very, very small list. List size was actually less than like 2,500 people, and we turned a list of 2,500 people into an income of $30,000 per month. That's example A. And this is on the phone. Now, example B, they took $250,000. They invested into a very, I'm talking about, we had like a video crew of like 10, 12, or they had a video crew of like 10 or 12 people or whatever, running around, filming, shooting, high quality production. And it was a really good, the turnout was really good. It was also $250,000, and it did not even yield, one, it did not yield a return on investment. Two, they actually took a significant loss, upwards to, they literally almost lost all of their money. To put things in perspective, all the money they put in, almost none of it was made back. So what were they selling? Well, what they were selling is they were selling a traditional product without the human interaction. It was all trying to be done automated, right? So you take something that we produce for less than $500, put on the phone, use the reversal methodology, high production, $250,000 investment, which yielded no ROI whatsoever. That's what it is. If you want to spend $250,000 and not see your money back, by all means, that's totally cool.
Yeah. So some of the statistics I've seen out there, just on basic sales platforms and everything like that, is that if you take a lead, one internet lead that comes through, and you just put them through a basic funnel, versus you get on the phone with them, just with a basic phone salesperson. This person is not even like a killer ninja that you teach all kinds of stuff, right? It's 800. They're 800% more likely to buy. Wow. And that's just basic. That's not even getting into any of the Jedi mind stuff that we're, with your funnel, or any of the stuff that I'll do with people to train them to be able to close them better and everything else. So there you go. It's bringing it both together, and I think people need to. Because I think there's a big gap, right? Because the internet people are like, no, you just give value. That's all you do. You give value, and that's how you build a sale. And don't get me wrong, I agree with that. You got to build value and give them a lot up front, but that's not enough. You still got to close them. And at the same time, you can't sit there and bulldoze people anymore. It doesn't work. They'll be like, F you, goodbye. Because consumers have a lot of knowledge now. They get a lot at their fingertips. And so sitting there and just being like, buy, it's not going to work anymore, because people just have too much information and empower that way. So you got to put it both together and really do it. And it becomes more of a consultative type sale versus the other way around, where basically salespeople in the past, they had all the power, so it's putting it both together. Really. It's super interesting stuff. So
it is.
Yeah. What do you think about all that I just said there? Do you have anything you want to comment on with that?
Well, I was totally surprised and not surprised at the same time to hear 800% increase when you're talking on the phone. And my brain just started thinking of all the reasons why that's true, which is awesome. Another one, you were talking about, how the internet people are saying give value, but you got to do more than give value. That's so true. If you don't ask for the, I know you talk all the time, ask for stuff. If you don't ask for them, if you don't go for those, if you don't close them, they're not going to buy, right?
Yeah.
You have to take that next step and actually do the close. And I know you're really good at that, and you have a lot of videos out there on that. And yeah, I'd say it's so huge, man.
Yeah, I was actually on a Blavin's personal saying this, like, you can fire your whole sales team. You just give value. I'm like, you're broke. There's no way you like.
Yes.
That would be the worst thing that could ever happen. You know, Elon Musk, I was reading in his book one time too, that they got to the situation where they had this wait list of people who had put down a deposit on these cars.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in a situation where they needed cash like now. And they didn't know what to do. They're like, well, what do we do? How do we get these people to actually buy? Because they're all just like sitting there,
right,
in this car. And so they actually got on the phone and they called all these people, and then all of a sudden, and they're like, basically closed them, and all of a sudden they had all this extra cash flow going in. And it's an interesting thing with him because no doubt the guy's a genius and he's doing things, but he's kind of taking that same approach of, oh, this is like the people in the stores don't actually do the closing and everything's kind of through word of mouth. And it's interesting because he talks about in the book when people go on the phone, all of a sudden you get this cash flow going in.
Right.
Like, you could still do it because he doesn't want the hardcore pushy car salespeople, because the worst experience I ever had in sales was when I bought my first car. And this guy was like going for the hard, like it was all good. Like, I want to buy this car. I was like, yep, let's do it. I'll buy it. Comes out. And he's like, actually, that price I gave you, like, now I know what was going on. He went back to his manager and he's like, actually, that price I gave you, it's not that. It's actually this. It was like $3,000 more, right? I was like, well, I'm not buying it then. I'm like, I'm out of here. And I literally was like, okay. And I got up and I just started walking out. And he's just like, whoa, 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 where you going? And he like gets mad at me, right? I'm like, you just lied to me. I'm like, why would I ever buy this car? You know? And so, and that's what I know. I understand that's what he's trying to get away from, and those cars are great and they've got an advantage there. They can kind of sell themselves, but you don't have to be a jerk like that. You don't have to be. And like, if you put it all together, they could, I'm sure they could get even more sales from driving. And I know that they're going to miss their sales quota by about 5,000 cars this year. I'm like, Elon.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah. So what do you think about all that?
No, dude, it's really interesting, the whole kind of push, pull, because if you study human psychology and how humans act, the more you're kind of like pushing somebody, the more they're going to retract from you.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of being this guy who's just pushing, pull them towards you. And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, which you cover in a lot of your videos, how to get people to come towards you. That's totally that. Just don't be pushy. I mean, like, you know, in your conversations, it's very conversational, right? You're asking questions, you're getting to know people's desires. What is that one boat analogy you gave or whatever, where you walk into a dealership and someone's trying to sell the red car, but you really want the black car, but they're presupposing you want the red car. I can't remember the exact conversation, but you said finding out what people want, what their desires are, right? What are they there for?
Yeah.
So that's big. If you find out, like, I believe, like, one of the philosophies that we're toying with is something called zero resistance selling, and it's a methodology in which we're still developing, but the core component behind it, when you resistance comes when you're trying to sell someone or offer someone something in which they don't want. So when you find out what someone's real desires are and their real motives are and what they truly want and desire, the resistance is pretty much zero, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing, and I know I really want to remember the conversation that we had, but you were pretty much saying something along the lines of the same thing, where finding out what people really want, right? Finding out what their desires are. Don't try to sell someone the red car if they want the black car. Don't try to convince someone something they want, right? Just tell them or find out what they want and give them that, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's the whole, like, you know, I used to, you know, the top salespeople, they could sell anything to anyone. I don't totally agree with that. Like, you could go in there, but like, look, if they're not in the market for it, they don't want it. You're not gonna
Yes.
So like people are like, you know, just sell me this pen. Well, first off, you got to figure out if they even want to buy a pen. They don't. Like, it's really not going to go anywhere, is it?
Right.
You know. So, and there's ways you could get around that. Like, what do you like to use to write with? Or like crayons. They're my favorite. It's like, okay, there's no point in selling a pen. You know. So, yeah. I use crayons to write all the time. But
Crayolas. I love it.
Yeah. Good deal. Cool, man. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add here that you think is important?
Anything else? Just read. Really, obviously, you got to take action on what you read, right? And I'm assuming everybody who's watching this is action takers, especially if you made it to the end. But like, educate yourself on books and sales and psychology. I mean, like just that one, just on one recommendation from one of the two recommend brain influence. The brain influence. I keep thinking brain influence. It's brain influence. Brain influence. I mean, that sparked a huge breakthrough, and a lot of what we do, it's all about reading. I mean, like, you can see, like, I got a pile of books over there, and I mean, I've got like books here on my desk, and I know that you and I text audible books all the time, and you're reading what, three books at a time. You read 64 books this year already. So great. I got to catch up now. I feel bad because I'm like, shit, man. I've read like a dozen. I got to catch up now. So,
well, here's how I do that, though. Here's how I do that. It's important to know how you take and know yourself and how you take in information. I know that if I have to, I listen to 2 books and I'll watch like a lot of talks as well. Like, I know I'll take things in the best that way, because if I sit down and read, I'm not gonna. Most of the time, I'm just gonna fall asleep. So you got to know how you're gonna go through that information. You can't kind of like fast forward that and whatever. So that's important. So I'll walk around walking my dog. I'm always listening to books and whatever. So, or driving around, and you can go through a lot of information when you're doing that. So that's one of my secrets. And I go through the whole thing, because we were talking about Ty Lopez the other day. You're like, Ty Lopez, he reads a lot of books, and he doesn't though. He's like, no, I just skim through and just get some nuggets. And like, I kind of disagree with that, because sometimes you can not get the whole context of things when you do that. And they say millennials are doing that more, right? It's like you and I have both read Tony Robbins' financial book. Mm-hmm. And he actually talks about that. He's like, this is a book you can't skim, because you're going to take things out of context and you're not going to get the whole mindset behind it. Mm-hmm. And I think that can happen in any book. In any book, really, you know. And it's like, you know, part of like the thing is you know, going out there, and I talk about this on my videos, just being the best you can be every single day. And to me, being the best you can be the freaking real deal. Read the whole freaking book, even if you can't. It's not about quantity. Like, you know, I go through a lot of those things. I'll go through a lot of that stuff more than once. But like, just, you can only go through 2-3 books a year. That's fine, as long as you really take them in. You know, and so like, that's what I would say on that. Just a little weird.
I love it. No, it's so true, man. It's so true.
All right, what? So you got all these books. Name the top 3 books that have had the biggest impact on you with sales.
With sales, that's a good. The 10X Rule, Grant Cardone. Mm-hmm. I would say Brian Tracy's book. It's called. I think it's in my closet. I'm actually gonna walk up and look at it right now. I'm actually gonna look at my book list. Definitely, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, actually getting the tour here, and
this is Austin, Texas, by the way.
Austin, here it is. It's called The Art of Closing the Sale by Brian Tracy. So I would say I'd say those are the top 3. So The Art of Closing the Sale. Here is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's the top one. And just because I'm looking at The Psychology of Selling is also a great book. So I'd say those are top 4 recommendations. I just saw the other one there too.
Nice. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
cool. All right, Rob. So let's say someone wants to get in touch with you here. How do they find you?
Best way to get in touch with me is to connect with me on Facebook. Rob
Rammuny.
Yes, sir.
It's spelled. It's funny. It's not spelled the way you think it would be. It's Rammuny, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's funny because Siri on my phone, I'll go call Rob Rammuny, and she's like, "Do you mean Rob Rammuny?" And so I go. So when I call you on my iPhone, I gotta go call Rob Rammuny. He's like, and then she's like,
Rammuny. So funny.
It does the same thing with Telman. It's like Telman.
That's hilarious.
Knudsen, she calls him, not Knudsen.
So, that's hilarious. Good old Siri. Gotta love her.
Yeah, you gotta love Siri. So hey, Rob, thanks a million for coming on here. I think we spread out some good knowledge for everybody out there.
Appreciate it, Kerry.
Got it. And we'll see you guys all on the next How to Kick Ass in Sales.com video. And that is today's video. Bye-bye.